Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win. Well, hello there, football fans. Welcome to Room 442. James Sharman here with, via remote, Albert Vartanian. Birdie! How you doing, pal?
Good. How you doing, Sharms? Looking good?
Yeah, I'm looking great. Thanks, mate. You know, feeling great, looking great. You look great yourself. Is that a new camera you're using there by chance?
You see that? Not bad. It's better than this Fugazi laptop camera I have. I got a nice new camera. It's working, and now I'm here. Let's do it. Let's talk some footy.
Let's do that, you know. What we'll do today is the Premier League weekend that was, so to speak, right? We're going to pick 5 things that we loved or hated about the Prem this weekend. There was a lot of conflicting emotions. It was a kind of a crazy weekend, actually. We'll get to my picks and 442 picks later on, by the way. Absolutely appalling this week. Ahead of Chelsea against Spurs later today, which we'll break down as well. But to start with, love or hate? I'm going to start with some love. All right? This was one of the more emotional moments in recent memory, I suppose, in football. And that was, of course, Luis Diaz coming off the bench to save Liverpool's embarrassment. Now, the backdrop of this is Luis Diaz, Liverpool's star winger. His parents were kidnapped about a week and a half ago. His mum was released after the first day. His dad is still being held hostage back home in Colombia. Now, obviously, he's been out of contention for a starting spot for a while because of this, but he asked to get back in the squad for this match. And not only did he make his way onto the pitch, but he scored the equalizing goal, having seen Luton, who, if you don't know, are the poorest, the weakest of all squads in the Premier League. A team that probably shouldn't be in the Prem at this point, but it's a great story. And they'll probably go right back down again, right, next season, Birdie. But we'll get to the game, sure. But the Luis Diaz moment, I don't know if it's just me because I watch so much football and that's my sport, but it seems we see more of these things from soccer, from football, than any other sport. These moments of poetry. It was incredible. When he came on, you kind of felt, oh, yeah, of course he's going to score the equalizing goal.
When I was watching that game, I was thinking of storylines. I'm like, okay, what's the biggest storyline here? Obviously, number one would be, I think, Luton beating Liverpool at the Kenny. I mean, a team that everyone projected to go down immediately. They have no business being in the Premier League. I think their stadium, their ground only holds 10,000 fans. Like, very, very old school Premier League, English side. And that would be the biggest story. And I'm like, how can you top this? And then I really thought this. I'm like, maybe it's Luis Diaz coming off the bench and either tying the game or scoring the game winner. And those are the 2 top storylines. And you're right. For whatever reason in football, I think naturally it's just a really emotional game. And that's why we get these types of things. I can't believe that Luis Diaz is even able to play with his dad, still, I think he's still kidnapped by the militia group in Colombia. How are you able to
time of recording, we
gather yourself to play?
Yeah, at time of taping, he is still being held hostage. Now, there are reports that there's negotiations ongoing, and the militia group, ELN, they're known as.
Yeah.
Not to give them too much, exposure here, but they are agreeing to release him at some point. It's just they're going through that at the moment. But right now, yeah. Regardless, at the time of the match, he was still being held hostage. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what his mindset was, how you can actually lift yourself up. But football, like Jurgen Klopp said post-match, right, should be the distraction. It should be the safe space for people. And that was an example where it certainly was.
I was gutted for Luton. Like, a great story. Luis Diaz, you come off.
You're just dismissing the beautiful story, are you? Huh?
I am kind of dismissing. I am kind of dismissing it, and I probably shouldn't. How didn't you not cry, by the way? Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
I'm with you. I was surprised too. And now at the end of the match, he was on his knees.
Tears. It's like when I watch John Rahm win the Masters. I'm like, is this guy a robot?
Okay, buddy, can we talk about this? Can we talk about this for a second? Tears and crying in football. Now, I'm a bit old school. You know this. But it seems every week someone's fucking crying.
Well, Fabio Silva.
Yeah, exactly. And often it's over performances or results or refereeing decisions. Not because your father's being kidnapped, right? There's too much crying in football these days. It's like any excuse. And I'm all about showing your emotions nowadays, and mental health is really important, and we shouldn't dismiss this. If you feel it, you should let it out, I guess. And
you gotta let it out. It's gonna go crazy, Sharps.
But when it's over a footballing decision, like, get a grip, man. There's no
But
need to
that's their
cry.
but Sharms, that's their life. Like Monday to Saturday or Monday to Friday, they're training to play that game.
They always have, Birdie.
Like
They didn't always cry.
no, I completely understand that, but I can understand where the emotions come from. You're putting so much into that, and if you're a player like going back to Fabio Silva, who gave away the penalty to Sheffield United at the 100th minute, and Norwood scored the goal, and he was crying at the end of the game. It's because he's had a poor season, and it seems like nothing can go his way, and he gets onto the pitch and tries to do something right for his team, and he gives it away, and his team loses. So I can understand where the emotions come from. Is there a bit too much crying? I mean, sure. Like Tom Hanks said, right? There's no crying in baseball, but in soccer, I think there is.
Well, there's plenty of crying in soccer. Yeah, oh, listen, Fabio Silva, and I know people are just going to call me a complete Neanderthal, and, it's 2023, it's not that big a deal. I know I am, but it's just a bit much, I mean, okay, if Luis Diaz had cried, I get, okay, yeah, of course you're going to cry. He didn't, which is incredible. But I understand that if it's a personal thing, or say, we see it, often we see when Frank Lampard scored that goal, I think the game after his mum died. Remember that one? And he pointed to the sky. See, an incredible moment, powerful moment.
You saying that gives me goosebumps. So I do understand what you're saying. So do you consider like Luis Diaz, is he a hard man now because he's not crying? His dad's kidnapped.
Oh yeah, he's nails.
So he's a Premier League hard man. There's not many of them, by the way.
No, there aren't. There's very few. I'm sure that.
How many? Seriously, how many hard men are in the Premier League?
Listen, there are some. Some of those.
Ooh.
You look at a Sheffield United. There's some tough boys in that team. Lewis Dunk is
John
tough.
Fleck? Yeah,
I know what you mean. I mean, there's no Roy Keane anymore, is there?
Like the top six sides. You look at, let's say Newcastle. Okay, maybe Bruno Guimaraes. She was throwing elbows and kicks, and Declan Rice not really. Maybe Rodri, but even then,
not a hard man though. I mean, he's tough.
No. There's no Vinnie Jones.
Then that's not a bad thing. But there's no Roy Keane, which is a bad thing. You can't do it nowadays, right? You can't.
No, you can't
physically impose yourself because you're going to get carded. You're going to get suspended. Yeah, it's one part of the game that is, sadly gone away. And I'm not saying you should be gooning out there and breaking legs, but the physicality has gone down for sure. And my God, watching the games yesterday, some of the rolling around and whining and freaking grabbing your leg, it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. It really is.
I thought the Newcastle, I know we're going to get to it, but I thought the Newcastle Arsenal game was a bit of a throwback. Two teams who can play football, who want to play football. It ended up being a fight more than a football match. It really did. I mean, listen, there was a lot of rolling around in that game too, but there were some hard challenges going in. At one point, Bruno Guimaraes was trying to kill everybody on the pitch.
Yeah, I do like him, I have to say. I do like him. Yeah. He's also one that will roll around as well. And a true hard man can give it, but he can take it as well. He's not rolling around, whining and crying. He's not doing that. Roy Keane didn't roll around. Vinnie Jones didn't roll around. They got back up on their goddamn feet. And you're just not seeing it as much anymore. I'm such an old bastard, and I'm miserable and cantankerous and a Neanderthal. I know I am. I'm sorry. I should be far more progressive.
You want to see the Roy Keanes of the world break Erling Haaland's dad's leg.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Haaland's out, by the way. Did his ankle. Wonder how long he's out for. Wow. That was a moment.
45 minutes. And we talked about it too last week. We're like, I don't know if he's going to play the entire match. Just because we knew they were going to destroy. Who the hell did they play?
Well, they won 6-1. Oh, my God. Jeremy Doku had 4 assists and a goal. Was it Bournemouth?
Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth, yeah.
That was such a forgettable game. I don't care that they won 6-1. Doku was incredible, but forgettable game.
I know. I didn't even put it here. But let's stay with that Newcastle Arsenal game. I have some hate there.
Okay.
Because we had the love, and now some hate. Anthony Gordon's goal, of course, the winner in the end. Very controversial. Went to VAR. 4 minutes. They were looking at, did the ball cross the line to go out of bounds? Was it offside? Was there a foul in the area? Green tick, green tick, green tick. So the goal counted. But my hate is Mikel Arteta post-match. I'm getting this eye-rolling emoji. It's whenever he speaks now, it's always against him. You just know it's so predictable, right, what he's going to say. And he's talking about it being embarrassing, unacceptable, a disgrace. He even used the word sickening.
Mm-hmm.
It's your first loss of the season, right? I didn't see anything clear and obvious there. I think it was the right call. But you just know what he's going to say here, right?
I think he probably should have taken him some time. before he addressed the media. I know that's almost impossible to do because they grab you right away as soon as you walk off the pitch. And we already know he's this type of a emotional manager, and he's created that energy and that atmosphere around this Arsenal team. So you're going to get that from him. I think he does have a case for the foul, Joe Linton on Gabriel. You can't have your two arms out on the back of a defender. That's automatically a foul. I understand what Gabriel was doing. He was leaning forward to flick the ball behind him, so it made the push look even more so. I don't know how that's not called a foul, because anywhere else on the pitch, you stick two hands out on another player, it's a foul. The ball going out, they don't have that technology yet, and we've seen from different angles in different competitions that it may look out from one angle, but then the over the top view, it's all perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
I go back to Japan against Spain. Remember that Matoma?
Yep.
The ball was out, and then
fraction.
And then they looked at it, and whatever, it was still in. So that's fine. And then you go to the offside. You can't see the ball from any angle, so you can't call the offside, and it comes down to the foul. And listen, two hands on another player, like I said, is a foul. And I feel like if Arteta just came out, I feel like if Arteta came out and just said the foul is what I have an issue with, and went all in on that, and how that's not called the foul on Joelinton, I would understand more. But now going off on the referees, and then Arsenal releasing a statement, and this new trend of releasing statements when things don't go your way. Like Liverpool, I understand.
Why would you?
Liverpool, I completely understand the situation against Spurs, because that was just a complete lack of incompetence. That's guys who were out to lunch not doing their job, and they were cowardly in the sense where they didn't want to call it back, even though they knew they made a mistake. Okay, now you go after the PGMOL. Now you release a statement. Not this Arsenal situation where it's 50-50 for every single situation. So, I mean, I think more oftentimes than not, VAR's going to get things right. I think so. And I feel like that's been the case. But with that said, I mean, you can't just go off the rails and say it's sickening and this sucks and this and that. And also, they scored at the 67th minute. You still have less than half an hour plus injury added time to score.
Well, you know what it is, buddy. I mean, this does somewhat scream of distraction policy, right? Arsenal weren't good. They what was it, one shot on goal?
No, they weren't
overall. And this, we're not talking about their performance right now. And have they got the stomach for this title run? We're talking about Mikel Arteta, in which case, brilliant. I just don't know why. I don't know why nowadays, like you mentioned, their clubs need to put out statements the Monday of a weekend. In this case, it's to support Arteta. The statement reads, Arsenal Football Club wholeheartedly supports Mikel Arteta's post-match comments after yet more unacceptable refereeing and VAR errors on Saturday evening. We'd also like to acknowledge the huge effort and performance from our players and travelling supporters at St James's Park. The Premier League is the best league in the world with the best players, coaches and supporters, all of whom deserve better. PGMOL urgently needs to address the standard of officiating and focus on action which moves us all on from retrospective analysis, attempted explanations and apologies. We support the ongoing efforts of Chief Refereeing Officer Howard Webb and would welcome working together to achieve the world-class officiating standards our league demands. Now, I agree, refereeing needs to improve. But in this particular occasion, I mean, listen, I know what you're saying about two hands in the back, but listen, in the box, that happens every single play. It just does. It wasn't, to me, clear and obvious. And that's what's being lost here, right? When talking about VAR, and it happens every weekend, at full speed, is it a clear and obvious error by the referee? And I don't think you can say it's clear and obvious. You just can't.
Right.
There's contact, in the box, but you also...
area there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand, okay, if something awful happens like the Diaz situation with the goal that they just screwed up. It was a goal. They got the lines of communication mixed up, put out a statement. That's different. But when it's like, a bit of a gray area, gray zone, a statement to back your coach, are they just concerned, terrified that he's going to get sanctioned by the Premier League now for what he said? Probably that's it as well. It's just with Arteta, I want to like him. I do. Because he's a young manager. He's obviously an excellent coach. I love his ideas. He's got a brilliant young team there that could win a title in the next few years, but he's getting tiresome. It seems it's always the world against him, But I guess some of the great managers have always fostered this mentality, right? Look at Sir Alex Ferguson. Right? He was the best at it. Just playing in the media and playing in the fans in his comments. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But he's not likable. Pep does it, but Pep's likable, I think, in a way. I don't see Arteta being likable.
Sir Alex... I don't remember Sir Alex. He's not really known for moaning, right? He had a different type of presence to him, I think, than Arteta did. But if there's one thing Arteta should moan about, it's his goalkeeping. Because if David Raya wasn't so focused on that ball being out and put himself in a good position, he could have dealt with that ball into the box from Joe Willock. And
Yeah.
he didn't. If you go back and watch that, he has his arm in the air. He's like, it's out, it's out, it's out. Joe Willock comes in. He's in a horrible position. He misses the ball to go for a punch out. Next thing you know, Anthony Gordon's putting the ball in the back of the net. So, I mean, I think Arteta needs to look at himself. If I'm looking at that Arsenal side from that game, there's only one person who can walk off the pitch with their head held high. That's Declan Rice. Everybody else was poor. Eddie Nketiah. Yeah, everyone's talking about he's the next incarnation of Henry. He has 3 goals in his last 10 games. 3 of those goals came in one fixture, right? So there's a lot of issues with this Arsenal team. So I can understand Arteta's frustration. I don't think it was just those calls. I think it was everything put together into one that really pissed him off.
Who's really comparing him to Henry, buddy?
Twitter. Or X, whatever it's called.
X, yeah, I know what you mean, though.
Listen, they have issues all over the pitch. I still don't know how they haven't addressed the striker situation. How?
I know they got to spend some money there.
You want to be true title contenders, and you have Nketiah and Jesus, 2 guys who should, I would think, be second and third in terms of depth when it comes to your number 9.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. There's definitely some problems there. Listen, it's still, I guess it's relatively early, though, in their whole evolution into a contending team, right? It's just last year they really made that big jump. They need more windows to improve themselves. But, I mean, listen,
it's easy gets ramped up, right? If you're making a push for the title one season before, now you're looked at as, well, you can probably win it. So you go ahead and make a serious push.
I suppose. But if Arteta's losing his shit at this point in November, I want to see what happens down the stretch run when the games get really big. You know, is a problem. I'm going to have another hate here from the weekend, but it could be love as well. It's the 100th minute penalty as the Blades beat Wolves. Just because I'm kind of really liking Wolves right now. I like Gary O'Neill, but good for the Blades as well, finding a way, albeit a soft penalty. When you're conceding a penalty in the 100th minute, it better be blatant to me. That's a brave refereeing choice, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, look how they're making these decisions. Like it's so easy for them because for the on-field official, because they know they have the backing of VAR. So it's like, I think it could be a penalty. Let me call it. Let VAR deal with it, and then there's a decision. But I'm right. I'm with you. It's so soft. But with that said, that's a huge 3 points for Sheffield United. I mean, coming up, they have Brighton, Bournemouth, Burnley, and then Liverpool. Those 3 fixtures before Liverpool, I think they can steal some points.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're looking at them and Luton to go down, but I think after that result, I think they can kick on and potentially, I don't know, make a little run before a Liverpool match.
Yeah, but if you're laying some money right now on North Star bets, of course, to go down this season, they're still going down, aren't they? And so is Luton, and so is Burnley.
So they can't score. They concede. I think they've conceded the most goals in the Premier League. Burnley, I don't know, Vincent Kompany, his job is on the line. He's not changing the football that they play. So I'd probably say Sheffield, Burnley. I don't want to say Luton. I don't want to, but
they are. I mean, and I listen, Luton are showing some real resolve. They're battlers, there's no doubt. And Rob Edwards has that team obviously playing together. They must have worked damn hard this past week in the training pitch, because they defended pretty well against Liverpool, who, in fairness, missed a couple of sitters. But still.
Oh, the Darwin Nunez one.
Oh, my God. That is
They needed
horrendous.
Diaz off the bench. Oh, my God. That game, they could have been clear in that game. They go up 1-0. Game's
clear.
over.
I know. Yeah. It was bad. Darwin Nunez can be brilliant or awful. He's fun, I guess, if nothing else. And he works hard, right? That's why the fans love him so much. But, man, you got to put those away.
I heard someone say at times he looks like a Liverpool striker, but at the same time, he looks like a Luton striker.
Absolutely. You got to put those away. It's simple. I don't care if you're enigmatic, if you're inconsistent. From that range, you got to put it away. If you're a number 9 for Liverpool. I'm sorry, not good enough. But I still think it's going to be one of those years, doesn't happen very often, where all the promoted teams go back down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And up come Leicester and Ipswich.
And Leicester could come up and stay up for a long time again, because they're just rolling right now in the Championship. And I love Ipswich just because we have that Canadian connection with Ipswich. So many Canadians have played there over the years. And it'd be great to see them back in the Prem. You think back to when you were a kid and when you watch sports, and you hold on to some romance, right? And that's one of those teams that I think should be playing up here, because I grew up and they were always in the Premier League, or I guess First Division. I'm that old. They were just there, like Nottingham Forest. They should be there. I don't care about the Burnleys Actually, Luton was there too, actually, in fairness. So I don't really care about Luton, though. But, I want to see these rich, storied teams. So, well, and maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're talking about who's promoted and who's going down in November. But
well, I mean, you look at the table and look some of the teams that can come up: the Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds, Southampton. What if Leicester, Leeds, and Southampton come back up, and the teams that were promoted go back down? I wonder if that's ever happened.
I bet it hasn't.
The 3-3, the reverse.
That's amazing, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. Who else is in there? You got West Brom, Preston, Cardiff on the cusp, Sunderland. I'd love to see Sunderland back. When I think of the Premier League, I think Sunderland.
Do you really
do?
Yeah, they're there for a long time. I mean, and they're a big club. That if they get it right, they're going to have that fan support. They can actually, spend a bit of money. Not, they're not going to be a huge club in the Prem, but they can be a mid-table club for sure.
If Newcastle can get some Saudi ownership, why can't Sunderland if they make it to the Premier League?
Why not?
And maybe we'll get another season of Sunderland till I die.
Hope so. Still, maybe the best documentary series.
I love it. I love it. Maybe more so because of the song than anything else.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we've got some love here. Is it love, though? It depends who you support. Bruno winning it for United late. The love, just showing you how football can change its narrative so quickly. They were bad again in that game, so poor, but they managed to scrape 3 points. They've done it a couple of times in recent weeks, not deserving the points. But if you're Erik ten Hag, who I quite like, and that's why I kind of put love here, I don't mind Erik ten Hag. I think he's a good dude. He's probably a little bit, I don't know, overwhelmed in that job. Hasn't got quite the charisma you need for that kind of job. But for him, I'm happy for him to see the pressure come off him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a result that they absolutely needed. And look who comes in the clutch. It's Bruno Fernandes, Roy Keane's favorite player. 3 goals. He has 3 goals in the Premier League this season, Sharms. All of them 90th minute winners.
That's incredible,
Fulham,
isn't it?
Burnley, Nottingham Forest. But, I mean, you can't go to Fulham and look that bad. You really can't. This Fulham side they have no attack. Jimenez, Vinicius, Muniz, all their strikers have combined for a single goal. Jimenez hasn't scored at the club level since January 11th. Like, there was nothing to their attack. The fact that United needed 90 minutes to put them away, I know they won, and it buys Ten Hag some more time. It buys these players some more time. But I'm still as concerned about United moving forward as I was last week and the week before that. I mean, you're United. We keep saying that, and it sounds so cliche, but you got to go into that fixture knowing that you're taking 3 points, and it should be pretty comfortable, and it wasn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just are just devoid of any kind of confidence right now, it looks like. Maybe that could kickstart them on, I don't know. But you look at performances and results, and we talk about that in sports and in soccer in particular, right? But that was a terrible performance again. They're playing Copenhagen this week in the Champions League. Got to get something out of that. So, it's still a very much one to watch. Still, the crisis club for me is very much Manchester United. We're going to end this one on love, and that was the Adam Johnson tribute during the Nottingham Forest match. Adam Johnson, the hockey player, of course, who died last week in an awful on-ice incident, played for Nottingham in the British Pro League there, and just how the whole stadium just did it right, did it well. You've seen the two sports, I love hockey, we love hockey, Birdie. But obviously, we're also football guys, and just seeing that kind of synergy, it was a pretty powerful moment, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting him to do that. I don't know if you knew that ahead of time, but
I didn't.
I had no idea. And I think they kicked the ball out as well at the 47th minute.
Yeah,
Steve Cooper was clapping the players. It was a powerful moment, and something that going back to what you started off the show with in terms of emotions in football. I think when it comes to paying respect and homage and tribute to certain players and even to fans who have passed away in the past. Like, I think football fans do it best.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe we're being biased, but maybe it's because of the stadium. They're bigger stadiums, but there's something about it, right? There's that. They also do things worse too, right? Because let's be honest, there was anti-Hillsborough chanting in the.
Yeah, I was just reading about that. Unfortunate.
Yeah, so you see both sides of it. Yeah, generally speaking, football fans are good people, do it right and do it well. But there are scumbags, unfortunately, at every single club. I'm not singling out Luton in this occasion.
It's unavoidable, Sharms.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you get a bunch of people together, there'll be a bunch of twats in there. Simple as that, right?
Exactly.
Can't avoid it, no matter what the environment, I suppose. But
no, exactly. You can't avoid it.
They try and control it somehow. All right, big game this afternoon. Spurs, Chelsea. We should obviously, if you don't know, that Bertie is a huge Spurs fan.
Hold on, I
Two,
just
two.
need to just take a sip here.
Oh, nice. Let them mug. Very well done. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't even realize I was using that one.
This would be no bias in this little preview here.
No, never. I play it down the middle, Sharms. Give me that credit when
You
I'm
do.
analyzing a game. Thank you.
And I can read right through you when you do. Two polar opposite teams, right? In that
Oh my God.
Spurs have stability. The fans absolutely adore the team. They're organized. They have a great identity, a great blend of young and older players. Whereas the other team, Chelsea, is what? Unstable, disorganized, no identity right now. And a manager who used to have charisma, but so far this season has shown none of that.
It sounds like roles have been reversed because that's been Spurs. And Chelsea's been the other way, stable, relatively stable in terms of influx of money. When it comes to managers, you never know. I mean, with the last ownership in Abramovich, a manager can win a Champions League and get fired at the start of next season. He's done it with Tuchel and Mateo. But yeah, things have changed. It's incredible. I don't know if you saw Pochettino's recent comments. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Yeah, I think he was asked about like his time at Chelsea, and he's like, I would love to stay here for 20, 25 years, the rest of my career. But if I don't have a job and Tottenham need a man, I'd love to go back there. So maybe one day, why not? And
Why would he say that?
Before this London derby, you're going to Tottenham. Your team is underperforming, to say the least. You've spent all this money, and now you're talking about if you need a job and Spurs need a man, you want to go there? How's that going to fill your team with confidence? I think he's lost a little bit. I don't know what's going on with Pochettino, but I think being at Chelsea and the pressure that's on him and them underperforming is making him do and say some strange things that I've never heard before.
As a Spurs fan, though, you're obviously in heaven right now. You're loving this season, but are you still waiting for the other shoe to drop in some dark moments? You are, aren't you?
You know me. Yeah, I'm waiting for it. And I know when it's going to come. I don't think it's going to come against Chelsea because I think Spurs are going to be properly up for it. With Pochettino there, the fans are going to be going bananas. They're going to want that one. And I think to a certain extent, I think some players and even Big Ange would want that one over Pochettino. Not saying that Chelsea are just going to roll over. That's not going to be the case. I think it's going to be a tough match. But I do expect Spurs to win. I think the shoe will drop next week when they go to Wolves. That's the type of match where you're frustrated by a team who's decent defensively and can nick a goal. That's where I see Spurs dropping points. And I'm not even going to get into the conversation of a potential title race because there's just so much to go. We see what City can do easily against a team like Bournemouth. Spurs struggle against Luton, struggle against Sheffield United. These are teams that a team that wants to win the Premier League don't struggle against. And Spurs, I think, still have a long way to go, but in pole position, surprisingly, for a top 4 finish. And that, to me, is a successful season with a new manager.
But overall, you are enjoying. You're able to enjoy the season.
Oh, absolutely. It's
not
football,
overthinking
right?
it, are you?
Sharms, even if they do lose, if they play that way, with that attacking style, with that intent to go at teams, regardless of the opposition, it's polar opposite to what was going on when Conte was there, and Nuno and Mourinho, Ryan Mason. It was so anti-football. It was like you knew from the outset of the beginning of the match, Spurs are going to defend, give up 60 to 70% possession, rely on Kane to Son to link up in the counterattack, and that's the only way they were going to go about it. Now it's front foot all the way forward. And Postecoglou has come out and told the players, listen, pressing throughout the match, I don't care what time it is in the match, it's a non-negotiable. So that philosophy makes their football entertaining. Plus, they have the talent to execute what the manager wants them to do. So even if they do lose a match, you're in for something exciting, and it's pleasing on the eye, which I think is really important.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I agree with you. It is fun to watch. And Spurs traditionally were pleasing on the eye. Didn't win very much, but they were fun to watch. And I think those days could be back, but maybe sprinkling some trophies along the way. You never know. Big Ange,
nice.
Get it going right now.
One, Sharms, just one. Just.
I tell you what, I did well all weekend to avoid looking at 442picks.ca because I sensed something terrible was happening, something truly awful. And Tuesday morning, man, it's ugly. It's really ugly. I had a terrible weekend with a very unpredictable Premier League weekend, Albert Vertanian. Much better on your end?
Much better on my end. I think this is the week where I start catching up to you guys. 27 points. I had some that didn't go my way. The penalty that went to Sheffield was super annoying because I had to draw in that match. But more or less, I think I'm looking good and closing the gap on you guys, you and Sarah, which I need to because I got off to a horrible start.
You did, yeah. Which game do you want to single out as far as the one that really just stunned you?
Yeah, so I'll go with Villa and Forest. I'm so big on Villa because they're playing so well, but I thought they was such a poor performance away to Forest, and that's not taking anything away from Nottingham Forest. I just didn't think Villa had it. It was one of those game charms where I thought if Villa played that game for a week straight, they still wouldn't score. Everybody seemed to be off it. Douglas Luiz, Ollie Watkins, not Matty Cash, excuse me, Luca Digne. Nobody was really as good as they've been so far this season. And Unai Emery has talked about how he needs to improve his team away from home. And after that performance, it's clear, like for whatever reason, it doesn't click the same as it would at Villa Park.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I tell you what, United winning at the death to start things off on Saturday morning made me feel a little bit good about my picks, but then it went downhill from there, including, of course, Liverpool-Luton. Now, I know the Luis Diaz situation stole the headlines, and rightly so. What an incredible emotional moment that was to get the equalizer while his dad's being held hostage back in Colombia. But we've got to mention Luton here, who should have had the 3 points, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. They defended so well. Yeah, some awful blatant misses by a really under par Liverpool side, but this promotion club in Luton are showing some real fight. I don't think it's going to be enough over the course of the season, Bertie, but I like Rob Edwards. He's a good manager. He's young. I think he's going to get other big jobs over the next number of years. But Luton showing that there's no easy game in the Premier League, which justifies my excuse as it being a very difficult weekend, hence my pathetic, paltry number of points, and seeing that gap close and close and close. Oh, it was a rough one. Embarrass me, everyone. It's easy. Sign up for free at 442picks.ca. Loads of prizes available, including potentially a grand prize of $250,000 if you're really smart. Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.